God, this is so bright.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Yourself?
Yeah, good. It's yeah, you're coming through really clear. So
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah.
Sorry, I was another call and I was waiting on my Zoom for some reason.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know if you did you send me a link or
It wasn't in the invitation, but we're here now.
okay, cool. No worries. Yeah. So how's it going? It's been a couple of weeks since I've seen you.
Yeah, it's going well. It's been some crazy couple of weeks with everything going on. Good crazy.
Yeah.
Um Good busy. We had some conferences, some other things going on. So yeah, all good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm same as you, super busy. As soon as you get back into teaching, you're running, like trying to catch up with yourself all the time. You're prepping, delivering, marking, assessing, and then there's like personal issues and things that you need to sort out for the students, and getting them the right level of support that they need. And yeah, it's really complicated and just a really super busy time. But here we are. We made it.
Yeah.
We're here. We did it.
Yeah, and I saw that you're killing it on LinkedIn as well. I love the pictures and everything. I think that's such a personal approach
Yeah, thanks.
to your planning.
Yeah, like I think it was 2 weeks ago. There was a careers fair with the army and like all of the services, ambulance, police, military, fire brigade, and they had loads of equipment there. And there was these army guys, and they had these massive guns. So I've got like these really sweet pictures of me like dressed in a suit. We were like two guns, like yeah. And the police had a riot shield. So
Wow.
the police woman, like, she gave me a riot shield, and she was like, right, yeah, go on, hold that. And she said, try and push me back. And I said, are you sure? Like, because she was, I don't know, 5 foot or something, and
The proportions.
she just yeah. So I held the shield, and it was like a big riot shield, and she just whipped out a kosh, and she's like, whoop, 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 like just smashing the shield. I was like, whoa. And she was proper coming at me, and then she was like, come on, push me back. And I pushed her. And then I was saying to the students, like, come on then, like, looking at like the tallest and biggest students, I was like, come on then, have a go. And they couldn't move me. I was like a brick wall.
What was that about? Is it as a demonstration?
It was like a careers fair for public services and stuff like that. So we deliver courses on public services, training students who want to go into emergency services or the military or the Air Force.
Important stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, really important stuff.
Yeah.
They had a police riot van, and I got in the back of the van, and that was the first time that I'd ever been in trouble with the police. Like, so the first time I'd ever been in a van, like in a police van. And there's not a lot of room in the back of a riot van.
That's a good experience to have.
Yeah, it was good because I got to walk out again 30 seconds later. And another guy had a drone, and this drone was amazing. It had like 200 times optical zoom, and it had like night vision, heat sensor. It was like basically, the Predator vision from with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was like that on a helicopter, like a small helicopter, a DJI, sort of like second to the largest one that they do. And he had all of this set up in the van, so it's like a mobile operation center. Can go anywhere. This thing can fly like 5 miles away from where they're controlling it, and they can see people 200 times optical zoom away, and it's got tracking in it as well and recording. So there's just no getting away from them. And the whole system costs like 25 grand, the guy said.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
And you think that you're running away and you're safe, and you're just looking at people on the ground, and if no one's watching you, then you're safe.
Yeah, you think that, but
yeah,
they're everywhere.
With the 200, wow.
Yeah,
that can spot, like, if you have a spot on your
for sure. that's like double my my Samsung. You know, it's double my what have I got? Samsung 21 Ultra something. I don't know, whatever the latest Samsung. And you know, I think that's like 100 times zoom, so I can get a really nice picture of the moon with quite good detail.
That
So
was my next question. Like, did you try to
yeah, yeah,
zoom in on the moon? That would be fun.
definitely. Yeah, but I have to, you have to hold it really, really steady.
Yeah.
So rest it on something, and because it's got auto tracking, it naturally the picture wants to move like this a little bit inside. Um, but yeah, I'll send you some.
Yeah, I have all the gear for my camera because I record a lot, like with the tripod, and so maybe if you put it on a tripod, that's the solution right there.
Yeah, I've got some of those small ones. Is it like a Gorilla Grip or something like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
tripod?
yeah.
Yeah, I've got one of those, so I might try that. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, what is it you want to talk about today? Let's get to it. Are we going to talk about you, your life story? Should we tell people how we met? Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
cool.
I here's my side of the story, and then you can tell yours.
Yeah.
Lately after the pandemic, I enjoyed writing comments and writing posts on LinkedIn, and I can see so many people getting value from it. So I just continue doing them, partly because I can see how people's life changes just because of a comment. And the other thing is the network that I create, and it's a good way to connect with people. You get tons of messages and tons of connections from there. So that's probably, and I'm not sure what comment was or what I post was or how we bumped into each other, but I think you liked one of the comment, and we engaged, and
Yeah, there was yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was let's have a look. I think I've got it here somewhere. Yeah, oh yeah, I think yeah, I liked a comment on something that you put on female leadership post.
yes,
And I was like, hey, you know, nice to hear from you. And this was 1st of September. And
yes.
yeah, and from then we had like a little a very short like phone call via Zoom. And you know, we tried to do this last week. But you were running a little bit late, and then my kids were like crazy. So yeah, and you know, I got totally distracted, and I felt really bad. I felt so bad because you know, we book it officially through Calendly, and you know, it's, you know, your time is super valuable because of, you know, you work for yourself. It's, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
so I felt really guilty, so I apologize for that.
That's okay. That's
um,
okay. It happens. It happens all the time. So I'm kind of used, and I wasn't sure. I sometimes it happens to me. So I know what it's like to be on the other end. Obviously, I don't have kids.
yeah,
But knowing what kids are like, I
that's
was
why
more in.
I was going to say that's why your apartment looks so nice in the background.
Wait,
Yeah,
wait
I,
another year or two.
I can tell that there's no kids there. You know, you've got all your books nicely on your shelf there.
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually recording now some courses and training, so that's why I'm like keeping everything tidied up.
Okay.
Um,
So what kind of courses are you recording?
so to give everyone a background, I am a career coach. So I see loads of people struggling in their careers and being stuck in the wrong career. And because of the story and because of what I've gone through, I decided to take it as a mission to kind of help people transition into more meaningful careers, one where they actually wake up excited every day. So I'm creating additional courses. I have a program that lasts 3 months, but most people say, look, I'm burnt out and I'm doing everything, and I don't know what to do, and I need something shorter. So we're just focusing on that. Um,
So when you say you're making a shorter course, like how short, like a 3 month course, or what, you know, 1 week, 1 month, or
like a three-week course,
three
something
week
that
course?
people can go through a lot quicker, and they can clarify, you know, who they are, what is it that they care about, and what's their purpose, you know, what the contribution of their work can be, and build a career on that.
And how will they complete that course? Are you developing like an online interactive system, or is it video based, or are they receiving direct coaching from you one-to-one?
So here's the backstory, because I know you like to speak about artificial intelligence, and I started this project whenever I was in. So I came to the UK when I was 18, and I had a very rough landing in the UK, and like accommodating myself to the society environment and everything else. I used to have so many friends back home, and when I came.
And where is back home? Like, because I know, but
Romania.
sorry,
So I
Romania.
used to live in Romania, and I came here for university to study. So I came here without any English, with very little
How
English.
very dare you? How dare you come to this country and not know English? Get out. Go on, get back in.
Go back to your own country.
Yeah. They took our jobs.
And look what I'm doing now. I'm helping people get jobs.
Yeah.
So that's probably one reason why I feel compelled to doing this, because I didn't know English when I came. So I came in, and I was, I was so social when I was home, but couldn't speak that much English when I was here. So I couldn't have friends, and all I focused was on success. I was the best in schools with my little English. Had 2 part-time jobs, 3 volunteering schemes. One the employee of the student employee of in the UK. So student employee of the year in the UK, because I had all of this stuff and going on. But then I was really unfulfilled, and
even after all that.
Yeah, crazy, right? After all of this success.
What does, like, can you describe what that unfulfillment feels like? Because similarly to you, I'm always doing things, always trying new things, new projects, new CPD, always trying to learn new skills, meet new people and network. And every now and then I have periods, of time where I go, oh man, I'm just not doing enough. And my wife or my friends will be like, you are mad. Like, you need to stop and slow down. Like, just take an account for everything that you've done so far. Like, if I'm feeling harsh with myself, is that unfulfillment? Is that how you would classify it? That you feel like you've still got more to do?
Yeah. And that's such a good question. Like, what do you call unfulfillment? How do you describe unfulfillment? So unfulfillment for me was, I knew that I can do something more, and I'm not there yet. And not only this, I'm not going in the right direction. And so I always knew that I was meant to do something else, and to help people have a meaningful career and do something, don't waste their life. And I felt like I was wasting my life.
Yeah.
Doing stuff that was just pleasing other people,
okay,
family, and it was pleasing my ego at one point, because I got very good at realizing that society wants me to do one thing, my parents expect me to do one thing, and I said, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But whatever I was planning to do, because I wasn't self-aware, it was just what my ego told me I should do, and it was more of a should rather than, hey, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And unfulfillment for me was like, look, I'm in this role. I'm doing great. I'm earning just as much as a 40-year-old is earning right now. And I'm working this prestigious company, working and have all of this stuff. And it's not,
you have like a good title and stuff like that. And people would look at you and maybe say, oh, wow, that guy's got a good job or a good situation, and you're not happy.
Yeah, on the outside, that was the definition of success to others. But then on the inside, I was so miserable. And the most hurtful thing for me was that I couldn't tell others. Because when people see you there, you go, yeah, I'm good. But you cannot tell others how you feel. And you feel like there's something missing. You don't know what that something is. You're not there, and you don't have a plan for it. And you see it all the way in the distance. You're not there. You've been working. You're looking at your age. You're looking at how much you spend, and you're not there. And that is just like,
yeah. Like you're conscious of the journey ahead, and you think, man, how am I going to get there? How am I going to get from here to there? And it's, yeah, you're stuck in that, not stuck, and you know, it's not like you're stuck in a rut. Maybe, is it impatience perhaps? Like, are you impatient to get there? Or something I get
Yeah,
like that. I
yeah.
or something that I used to do that I don't do anymore, thankfully, is I would sort of gauge my success based on my friends or my peers, and like, you know, so like my best friends, how old they are, what kind of jobs they've got, how much money they're earning, whether they're married or not, how many kids they've got at this stage. And I'm glad that I don't do that anymore, because that used to make me feel bad. Like that used to make me feel like crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's two aspects to this, and I'm glad that you picked it up. So the first feeling of unfulfillment that I had was the fact that I wasn't where I want to be, and I was going into the wrong direction, and I had no direction. And what you're saying is like, I know where I'm going. I'm just comparing myself to others, and sometimes that happens to me. Like, if I'm honest, that happens to me, and when that happens to me, then I need to go back to my mission statement, to who I am and how I want to live in the world. And
Yeah.
it's a constant reinforcement of that.
I would think where you're based in the middle of London, right?
Yeah.
And so you are in an affluent area, you know, or, you know, surrounded by what would be high profile business people everywhere. You're looking at how they're living. So your peer group is even, it's even
Yeah.
more to live up to, you know, in some ways. Like, you're
Yeah.
looking around, and it's, the pressure
It's
must
an,
be even more like than, you know, just say if you're in your 20s or your early 20s or late teens, and you're thinking, well, what am I going to do in the next 5 years? Like, even if that thought comes into your mind at that age, um you know, like, do you think it's based on geography and society and like community, like the the sort of the feeling of wanting more? Is it based on what you see around you, or?
so I think I, it's not that I think, I know that is based on not knowing who you are and who you want to be. So I used to do a lot of comparison, like so much so that one day I would want to be in one career, another day I would see something else and I'd be like, oh, that would be amazing, you know? And it was all a superficial kind of thing. I was just
Mm,
getting the information from other people and saying, oh, this would be good for me. Oh, this would be good for me. I would be happy if I have this. And working with so many people, I realize now that everyone is exposed to this, including the CEOs and the most successful people that you see out there. They still have this comparison game.
mm,
And it doesn't end until you you learn how to get that baggage off, like
yeah.
how to work. I feel like when you're born with your essence, right? When you're born with nothing else but you, the real you. But
Yeah.
then you start getting questions about other colleagues at work. How much what score did they get? And what grade did they have? And where is your boyfriend or girlfriend traveling to? And you compare yourself to others and accumulate all of this BS, um, that isn't really necessarily you. But if you don't have the tools to say no, and if you don't have the tools to let that baggage off, you'll always continue doing all of this stuff. And it's so crucial to learn to do that before you decide who you want to be, and before you decide, okay, here's my mission statement. This is the person I intend to show up in the world. This is how I intend to show up in the world, right? If you have that, if you learn how to get all of that baggage and shoulds and limiting beliefs and fears and social comparison and judgment off, and you write who you intend to be, then every time you get lost, you go back to that and you go,
Yeah.
okay, that's who I intend to be, and then you stop comparing yourself to. So it's a matter of geography, it's a matter of age, it's a matter of what you've gone through, until you learn how to get rid of all of that stuff.
So what made you from an early age be so ambitious? Like, where did that drive come from? Like, you described how you were like the leader of this or the winner of this, and you achieved all of these different awards and accolades. What drove you? Was that your personality, or was that a response to your environment, or to?
It was the BS that I was carrying.
Yeah.
It was that's such a good question. It was the BS that I was carrying. So my father, we were living in Romania, right? My father left home when I was 7 to come to the UK to be able to, support us financially.
Yeah.
And I had a very rough childhood, not rough childhood. No, I don't mean from a financial perspective, but him leaving left a big gap, and I wasn't sure I needed him. It was just, oh, my father left, so we can have an amazing childhood because he can send some money, some toys, and all of this stuff. But growing up, I realized that I took 2 lessons. First, I will need to work really hard so I don't have to leave my family and live without them. Because I can imagine my father, living without a wife, without his kids. That's like for 12 years, he didn't see us. That's like in the big part of his life, from 30 something to 40 something. So the fear that I got is, if I don't work hard, I'm going to have to leave my family and I'm going to have to suffer later on. So first lesson, work as hard as you can and be the first in whatever you do. And I was trying to do that because deep down, I felt like I'm not enough, right? I felt like, and this took so much awareness to be aware that this is happening and to accept it. So I was feeling like I'm not enough as a person. A 7-year-old, I didn't have someone to tell me, hey, you're enough. That's it. You don't have to work. You've achieved it. I never had that, So I was always craving that, and I craved it through achievement. I craved it through, right, let's be the first. All the athletic competition I went into, I was always trying to be the first, and whenever I wasn't the first, I would beat my ass down. And so, pardon my French. So that's the stuff that I was carrying since childhood.
Mine is kind of similar to yours, but it kind of comes from a slightly darker place. So I was probably about maybe 9 or 10, maybe 9, I think, when my parents separated. And I was living in the west of Ireland at that time. And I was born in Ireland and grew up there. My mum's Irish and my dad's English. And when they separated very badly, my dad left and came back to England. And so I had like a good 2-3 year period there where I was without a father as well, until my mum and younger brother and I moved over to England. And then I moved in with my dad maybe a year or 2 later, and then 6 months after that my brother came, and then my mum vanished and just up sticks and left. And then I had like this, I had that to deal with, and 8 years went by before I managed to track her down or hear anything from her. And then at 17, my dad was like an angry guy, like a violent guy. He comes at me with a shovel in the garden one day, and I was like, I've had enough, like I'm off. And I ran down the hill, and I ran all the way like to my uncle's house, and I got on the phone to my girlfriend, and then I was couch surfing for months, and then eventually got my own place. So I've been independent since I was 17, and I didn't speak to him for years. And then we had a very on and off relationship for years, like years of not speaking, then speaking for a little bit, years of not speaking for a little bit. Currently haven't spoken to him since like 2015. And I have a great relationship with my mum now, thankfully, over the past 2 years since my first daughter was born, because I was thinking, I need some sort of grandparent, I need some sort of family history or model for my children. So again, through social media, managed to track my older sister and my mum down.
Wow.
And everything is, I also have got another younger half sister, tracked her down, and like all of that is, it's going really well now. So yeah, I think what drove me was, and it took a long time to get to that position where I was driven to succeed. I think it only really kicked off for me like that from 2007 until now, and I haven't stopped really since 2007. Initially, like, this is why I say it came from a dark place. I wanted to be better than my parents. That's what drove me. Then I was craving the attention, not in a negative way, but craving sort of validation from anybody who would look at me like they were a parental figure. If anybody had an ounce of pride, like, I would be such a people pleaser, to them. And yeah, I've got over there like a like a record of achievement. You keep all your certificates. It's like this fat. I've got no more room in there, for anything. Thank God all certificates are going digital now, and digital badges, because I've got no more physical room. But I still haven't stopped. Like, at the minute I'm doing the Power MBA, and I'm doing all sorts of different CPD courses. But this time, like, I think over the past year and a half, I figured out what I want to do and the reason that I want to do it. I want to do, things that I enjoy, things that I'm interested in, and I don't care whether my mum or other people care about it or not. I'm doing it for me. And that was very freeing, like, to get to that point. And I feel like I've left that sort of dark side of me to one side. And as soon as I did that, actually, my life has gotten loads better. So I think I have thrown some of that weight off, myself. But yeah, that's part of my story.
This is so, I love this conversation, man, because now very few people are open to even become aware of all this stuff. They just suppress it and try to ignore it.
Yeah.
And then it shows up in your career. It shows up at work. It shows up in the relationship you have with your managers, with your colleagues, with yourself, with friends. Very few people realize that there's a connection there.
Yeah.
I was working with a client once, and part of the career change program, most people think that you need to identify your skills, your values, see what jobs align with them, brush up your CV, and off you go.
Yeah.
So if you do that, you're just ending up in the same circle of, like, just information, stuff that you have. So what we do is help people get through that internal journey without having to go through 7 years of therapy. So she discovered that the same thing. Her father left, and for 13 years they haven't been speaking to each other. And in every single situation, her thing was about, okay, I want to do this, but I don't have the skills, I don't have the capabilities, people will judge me, all of this stuff. It was about capability, and and she said, I don't know how this relates to my career. My father left, and so I said, okay, well, if it's important to you, get in touch with your father, see what he's doing, and then see if that has any impact. And she got in touch with her father, and it wasn't the relationship that got in the way. It was the story she had about the relationship.
Yeah.
So my father left because whatever her story was, and
she has her own, like, inner personal narrative of, to make sense of all of the events that had happened. Like, you build this picture, this story in your head. Yeah.
And you don't realize that when you build that story, it happened at a time when you didn't have the resources, the awareness, the tools to deal with the reality, and all you saw was your perception.
Yeah.
The other person has a different perception, and that perception has been guiding you, whether you know it or not, whether you accept it or not, in all your career decisions, in all your relationships that you have. So as soon as she reached out to him, she realized, I'm unstoppable. Like I am, if I've done this scary thing
Yeah.
and I was able to overcome all of these stories and, strings that I had attached to me going forward and initiating this conversation, I can do anything. And
Yeah.
as soon as that clicks in people's brains, it's not a matter of, can I do this career change? I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And if you take that and you bring it into a career change or in anything, then you're a different person. Your face changes physically when you do that. It's crazy. So I know that has a huge impact. And as soon as you leave that off, I'm sure that when you did this with your mother, some of the stories clarified and you show up a little bit differently.
Yeah, I kind of there are probably a lot of questions that I would like to ask her, but I've just drawn a line under it and thought, that was then and this is now, and I'm going to pursue this relationship not based on the past, but based on the fact that she's grandma now, and so that was it, and it completely changed it. Yeah. So her being my mum, it comes second to her being grandma, and that's what's important to me and my wife, and yeah, and it is working. And the other thing was that I never wanted to be reliant upon anybody else as well. That was that was the thing. So I would always try to keep one job, one girl, just keep it simple, my own place, my own bills, never rely on, oh, don't move in with anyone, and all that sort of stuff, and just keep it tight so you didn't have to be vulnerable to anybody else. Yeah, keep a tight personal ship. Which is not great. Like sometimes you're scared to let people in, emotionally, or you have a front that you put on that you get very good, and you just pop that mask on, and it's like, hi, but on the inside you're crumbling. But yeah, luckily what you see is what you get
through.
now. Yeah.
There's no other way around it.
Yeah.
You cannot succeed if you don't show up like the real you. And regarding the mask, it's something that so many people wear at work. And again, I didn't have the tools to do it myself. So I would just pretend to be someone else. I would pretend to like things that I wouldn't really care about. In the interviews, including like, where do you see yourself and why do you apply for this company? Well, because I like being here and I like the paycheck, and I would pretend to like all these things and be someone else because I didn't have the tools to deal with, hey, this is me, that's how I'm going to show up, and if you don't like it, here's how we can resolve it in a way that it's not offending you and it's not offending me. And I do it because I know that I can clarify the story that I have in my head.
Have you this sounds like it's off topic, but it's not. Have you ever seen the movie American Psycho with Christian Bale? So he plays this character, Patrick Bateman, and he is like a big CEO of a financial company that does mergers and acquisitions, and I think he's on his way to he's on his way to a Christmas party with his fiance. And she's talking at him about his job, and I think he's having a bit of a moan about it, and she says something like, "Oh, Patrick, your father practically owns the company. I don't know why you don't just quit and do whatever you want to do." And he turns around to her and he says, "Because I want to fit in." That's it. He wasn't living for himself. He was just doing it because that was what was expected of him from his peers, from his people he would have gone to grad school with, and his family. And that manifested itself in psychotic rage, like when you take it out on other people.
I've learned this from, that's such a good description, and I'm gonna look into the movie. I think I saw it, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's from I think it's from 2001. It's the 20th anniversary this year of that film.
Yeah. People don't say anything until they just burst. And what I'm working with leaders as well, and they, I see this in all the relationships that people have. They just say, well, it's not appropriate to say this. Well, if I say this, then whatever story they have in their heads. And a great deal of becoming more efficient at work is learning to clarify those stories in a way that um, doesn't hurt others, and you clarify, you wash things up as you go rather than let them pile up
Yeah.
until you have to throw everything away and leave your job and
Yeah.
break the
Nice,
relationship.
nice metaphor. Yeah, very
Yeah.
good. So, what would be the do's and don'ts of, like, let's say, for example, communication at work? Because I would say that more often than not, people have trouble with communication via email, whereas a phone call or a face-to-face would have just, because you got the tone of voice or you can see the person's face, and you could have avoided like loads of trouble or conflict. And because the meaning behind sentences and words can be interpreted in so many different ways, that people can take offense very quickly, like they do nowadays. So what would you recommend, like, to somebody who's having a difficulty with that?
So that it's the technical side of, like, okay, what should I write and what words I should choose and what's the best way, email or phone or WhatsApp, and then there's the, like, fundamental side, the principles, when it comes to communication, and communication more to yourself first and then to others. First thing, and this is not my work, I'm working with a guy called Steve Miller, who is also working, has worked with a doctor, a well-known guy called Will Schutz, and he was well-known in the 60s and 70s, did the Oprah shows and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And so most of the stuff that I work with is stuff that I've learned from them. And there's a couple of things that we need to speak about before we speak about, okay, what message should I send? Should I say this or should I ask about this? First, understand what you feel and how you feel and what's the truth that you hold within, because there's so many times when we get annoyed at something,
Yeah.
at an email, and we don't know why. We just say, well, you so
yeah
before we even speak about how you're going to reply and what you're going to say and how to interpret the message, pay attention to you. Okay. What story do you create in your head? Is that true? Did you create that story before? What are you afraid of? Really, what are you afraid of? Right? And when you go, there's a couple of levels of truth that you go down, and people realize that, well, actually, when I'm getting pissed off with you, it's because I don't like myself when I do that.
Yeah.
So I get pissed off with you because you didn't show up, or you didn't, you respect this silly rule in the office, but I did that too myself. And I hate myself when I do that too. So I get so pissed off with you when you do it, because I don't like that kind of stuff when I do it myself. So it's very important to, whenever you reply, to understand, okay, what am I afraid of myself, and make a statement about yourself. And because if you comment on their behavior, hey, you did this too. Or you told me to do this, that's your behavior. Or if you name call, like, oh, you're such a jerk because you're such a whatever, because you haven't done this, or you told me to do this and you haven't. If you only stop at that level, you'll have arguments. And that's why people don't say and hold within, right? But if you go down and you speak not about the behavior, their behavior, not about how they made you feel, as if they could make you feel in a specific way, you choose to feel that way. If you don't comment on their behavior, how they made you feel, but if you comment on yourself and your story, then the other person doesn't have any reason to attack you anymore.
Like Eminem in at the end of 8 Mile. He dissed himself so hard that the other guy had nothing to say, so he won the rap battle.
Something like this is instead of just dissing yourself, you're just being honest. And when you're being honest and you're making fun of it rather than try to hide it, then you give me no answer than to be empathetic with you. So I'll give an example. You being late because of your kid, right? If you'd say, sorry for being late, I had so many things to to do because you thought, well, a nice person pays attention to their kids, but also respects the time of their call.
Yeah.
Right? If you had said, well, Silviu, I was late because you were late. Life. Right?
Yeah.
So if you and that made me feel annoyed, and if you only stop at the behavior and how I made you feel, and if you don't share the entire story, then you get in trouble.
Luckily, genuinely, I was the first guy in that example. Like my kids are crazy. So yeah. And I kind of like, I was worried. I was like, oh no. When I was writing it, I was like, oh man, is he going to understand? And the reason I say that is because, I was trying to arrange an episode with a guy that I respect on Instagram. And this was a couple of months ago. And I think it was actually, maybe it wasn't even a couple of months ago. Maybe it was after, you showed me Calendly, and I was like, whoa, that is great. Like, I'm going to use that. So me and this guy, we'd missed each other a few times, and I thought, oh, cool, I'll give him the choice, like, and he can book with me when he's free. And I sent him the calendar request, so that he could book it with me. And the response I got was, hey man, I'm just a normal guy. Don't be sending me no calendar BS. And that was it. And that was the end of the relationship after trying to build it up like for a month, and paying loads of respect. And I was like, oh, that sucks. Like, so I was kind of, when we didn't quite connect when we wanted to, I was like having flashbacks. I was like, oh no, this is going to be another failed one. And I was really anxious about it, because when we had our conversation, it was so good that I wished, I was like, oh damn, this conversation is so great, this guy's so amazing. I wish I was recording it, because we covered some good ground last time. So yeah, I was feeling all of those things before I sent you that message, that you probably wouldn't have even have been aware of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can you see, like, even if I was mad at you, if you had told me everything right now, this is the whole truth, right? I'll be like, of course, and I started feeling what you're feeling, because I've been there myself.
Yeah.
So people don't get in trouble, and this is a well-known statement in the human element possession, in the work that Steve has created with Will Schutz. People don't get in trouble because they don't tell the truth. People get in trouble because they don't tell enough truth.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you are when you get an email from a colleague and you feel bad for not doing this, or you feel incapable, or you feel whatever you feel, finding a way to say that in a way that doesn't say, well, I really don't know what I'm doing, so finding a way to say,
doesn't make you look incompetent. Okay.
So finding a way to say, hey, here's what I was at. I came in the team and I wasn't aware of this, and I didn't even know that there's a process. And I was stressed off over my head. And so thank you for being patient with me. That's why I haven't done it. If you say the whole thing, then, and you say it from an honest way, not in a way that you can be honestly putting the blame on others, because there's people that do that as well. Like, oh, sorry, I did this because you didn't because you didn't train me well, or because you didn't send me that email. I'm sorry for that. Because then you're just being.
Yeah, that's like when somebody expects an apology and you say, oh yeah, I'm so sorry that you feel that way, about a certain thing. Those political apologies where you still win, like, even though you're apologizing.
I was watching a Netflix episode about apologies,
okay,
and how they developed, and that's exactly.
So can we learn a little bit more about your business? Like, how many people do you work with, at one time? What kind of people do you enjoy working with, and who would your ideal client be that you could help?
Yeah, so I realized that the best results I can provide are for people who are in a career that they don't get any fulfillment out of, and they lost the buzz, right? People who are successful to an extent, they got to a point in their careers, they're managers, they're whatever they are, they realize, is this all there is? Like,
Yeah.
they're burnt out a little bit, and they know that they don't like what they're doing, but they have no idea of what that next thing might be. And we speak with people. We have people that gone through the program who are between 30 and 65 actually.
Okay.
But the ideal place would be between 30 to 40, 30 to 40 something.
Yeah.
Because that's when you have enough time to change, to make a change, and enough experience that you know what you don't like, and you have the fuel to not go back to it.
Yeah.
You have the motivation not to go to avoid that in the future.
And I guess also, if you're making a change between 30 and 40, you've got enough time left to make a good impact in that new career as well. You've got those 2 decades like to really smash it and feel fulfilled for a long time leading up to retirement.
Yeah, we have and having said that, so the big chunk is 30 to 40, because they need this the most, I feel, or just they're more aware of it. People who are in their 50s, again, they say, well, it's too late, and I don't want to change.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Because maybe is that fear that's stopping them from doing it, like at that maybe it's fear, or they've reached a certain level of comfortability. They they kind of think, oh well, if I make the change, then that'll rock this, and then it's like the fear of the unknown as well.
It's the golden chain as well. The golden sorry, you've been with a company for a long time, you get this much salary, and you don't want to lose it, and then you're coming up with so many assumptions as to what's going to happen, even though you haven't tested them. So I have a lady who is 50 something, 53, and at 53 she made a massive career change. She was working 20 plus years in the same company as a lawyer, and then at 50 something she did an MBA in design and constructions, and now she's bringing all her experience into this new career, which is and she started her own consulting business, and at 50 something, after finishing a master, and then we have clients who at like 25, they realize that this is not what they want to do. But clients in their 20s, although they have the motivation, they don't have the experience. So they say, well, I'm just gonna go and pick this job title because it sounds good, without having the real experience of being in those sorts of companies, working with those sorts of people, delivering that kind of impact. So it's a little bit more challenging. Of course, there's no time where you should learn what your career is about and what you want to contribute. And all of the work that we do has the same foundation. What am I contributing to the world? Right? What am I gonna design? What am I gonna create? What I'm gonna service? It's not about
not about like how much money I can make. Okay.
And the crazy thing is, once you do that, once you do something that you love, you learn quicker, get higher, faster, and you earn more as a result of it. But
I was going to say, like, when you follow your passion, like that'll just happen. You'll get in the flow of listen, kids, when you're playing video games and you the next time you look at your watch and it's 4 a.m. in the morning and you should have been doing your work for me, that's called flow. And that's what will happen if you find a job that you love as much as you love playing video games.
That's such a good, I'm going to use that, when you play games and you forget about time. That's it.
Actually, the guy who came up with that concept, I think he passed away. He died like yesterday or today. So if you have a look for on the news and type in flow, the guy who came up with that concept and coined that phrase, and I think he was a famous psychologist or psychiatrist, he only passed away like yesterday or today. So you'll be able to find everything about that. Flow is because my background is games design and development and interactive design. That's what my degree is in. And I worked at Sony, so as well doing quality assurance testing for multiplayer games on like 3-month contracts here and there whilst I was doing my undergrad degree. And flow is something that you want to build into a game. You want to make it so that you don't want people to leave. You want to make it so that your game is like an old lady in Vegas. Like there's no windows. You just got to keep them there.
And that's what I want people to feel about career. So I'm probably doing that, but for people's careers where they don't want to or they establish a healthy relationship with work.
Yeah.
Rather than just trying to get to 65 as quickly as possible so they can retire. That's not a good way to do your career.
Brilliant. So is there anything else that we should talk about? Like, what do you think?
I think we've covered a lot of stuff. I feel like this felt almost like a coaching call or like a teaching moment for me, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
I'm happy to do a follow up. I don't know, a year from now to see how, or whenever, to see how things
where this podcast is, what I'm doing.
Maybe shift the roles, and I'm gonna be interviewing you. To see what you're up to.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a year from now, I don't know if there's going to be, I'm not sure how much change there'll be for me a year from now. That's interesting. Like what a good question, because this is being recorded. I can always look back and think, okay, at the end of that video, I was contemplating and I was thinking, what's going to change for me? And I honestly think 12 months from now, not that much, I don't think, but we'll see. Yeah. What about you?
I don't know. I'm thinking I want to go back to delivering workshops face to face if the pandemic allows us, and kind of bring some more coaches in to train them and then grow the business. Yeah.
Okay. So like put a marketable set of resources together and packages and train people with the right mindset and the same sort of values that you have, and then spread it out more and more so more and more people find
the goal is to
success.
Get to 1 million people into meaningful careers. That would be ideal by the end of my life.
1 million people.
Yes.
Well, you're so young. I think you can do it. Definitely. Yeah. And yeah, I wish you like the best of luck, and I think you can do it. In fact, I know you can do it.
Oh, it'll be amazing to come back to this at the end.
Yeah, definitely. Don't forget me. You're going to be there in like Marbella, riding around in a Ferrari.
Maybe in Mars, on Mars.
Who knows? Yeah, on Mars. Oh yeah, I remember that guy. He had a podcast. Whatever, and yeah, awesome. Well, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you very much. And I hope that the viewers get a lot out of this. I know that I have. And I think what I might do is break this up into smaller segments, and if it's all right with you, I'll put it on LinkedIn as well, like smaller micro episodes. I think there's a lot of lessons in there that I can I can pull out, and I'll tag you in all of them. And yeah, awesome,
cool. Thank you so much again.
No, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Honestly, it's been absolutely fantastic. It's great to see your face as well.
Same.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much,
man. Cheers, brother.
Bye. Cheers. Bye.